Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am your friend and radio buddy. I am your FARB and will always be. On this 12th day of September, we got rain moving into the area. It is the remnants of Hurricane Francine, who went through Baton Rouge and Louisiana and parts of Mississippi, now making its way into our area. So really between now and about, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we are expected to have, more rain moving into the area. So be one of those days where, if you can get out the door a little early and get on home before the heavy rains come, might be a good thing.
Wear your galoshes.
That's right. I used to have, when I was a kid, I had a pair of galoshes.
I did too.
And I was the only kid in school who had galoshes. And they used to make fun of me.
I would have.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I liked mine. They were see-through.
Yeah, mine were sort of brownish clear. You could see through them a little bit.
Now, these the ones that you wear over your existing shoes?
You wear them over your shoes.
Yeah.
Those are galoshes. That's right.
Gotcha. I would have definitely made fun of you guys.
I grew up in West Texas. It never rained anyway, but out of an abundance of caution, my mom had some galoshes for me. And after I got made fun of, I never wore them again. The unused galoshes sat in my closet for years. All right. Look, we had a big debate follow-up yesterday. There are a few more things that I think we need to talk about with regard to the debate and some things that, not everything has yet been said. A lot of things have been said many times, but I don't think we've gotten it all. And so let me start out by doing that. First of all, if you missed it a few moments ago on Truth Social, Donald Trump said definitively he does not intend to do a second debate with Kamala Harris. He believes he won the debate and that there's no need to do a second debate. When you won, and there's no need to go back. I'm not sure that everyone agrees with that assessment. I'm not among those who agree. I don't think it was a fatal debate, but I don't think it was a great debate for Donald Trump, as we discussed ad nauseum yesterday. How many people watched it? Well, on TV, it came to 67 million people. That's the most watched debate in some 16 years. That was, of course, not just on ABC, but also the numbers from CNN, Fox, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, and Fox News. Fox and Fox News, two different things. It does not include those who watched it on Newsmax, PBS, News Nation, Scripps News, BET, Univision, Headline News, Telemundo, and Fox Business, because they don't participate in the rating services. Now, in addition to the 67 million people who watched it on television of some form, and it's probably more than 67, but that's what we can verify. They had about 26.4 million people who watched it on streaming platforms around the country, and that brings it right up to about 93.4 million people who watched this debate. The most viewed live event by hours streamed on Disney. Of course, the thing about it is people who watched it online didn't have to watch it in real time. They could always watch the playback. So that's pretty good. CNN, by comparison on their debate, had about 51.3. ABC said it had 67. So there you have it, the numbers. So a lot of people did watch the debate. Did they watch it all? Did they watch it, with paying great attention? Was it on in the background? You don't ever know. But it has the potential to have been seen by a good portion of the voting electorate. And then on top of all that, that's not really where it ends. Because, like yesterday, the networks were all playing clips. The cable news shows were doing clips, and there was analysis and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people who don't see the debate, with their own eyes and don't sit back and form their own judgments, do see bits and pieces of some of the debate, and it does create an impression depending on what is presented and how it is analyzed. But it's a ton of people. As these things go, those are sort of Super Bowl ratings. That's pretty big stuff. Here's a story from the Wall Street Journal, and I thought it was really interesting because, as I said yesterday, there's only one real audience that mattered for the debate. You know, I mean, it is the undecided independent voters. Democrats are going to vote Democrat. Republicans are going to vote Republican. The red states are going to vote red. The blue states are going to vote blue. And it's the purple states. And within those purple states, honestly, it's a sliver. It's a sliver of independent voters who sometimes go left and sometimes go right, who will make a determination about who our next president is likely to be. And so the folks over at the Wall Street Journal, which is a conservative publication, they did sort of a focus group, talk to a bunch of people. In interviews with the Wall Street Journal, a handful of voters in battleground states broadly agreed that Trump appeared rattled by Harris, who repeatedly goaded him into veering off course, including by saying that some people got bored at his rallies and left early. I mean, that was the one that got his goat, because he takes that very seriously. But here are some things that were said by a handful of folks who were interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. 47-year-old Sabrina Champ, unemployed, considers herself an independent. In 2020, she wrote in this, talk about being all over the map. She wrote in the name of Bernie Sanders. In 2024, if you twisted her arm and asked her, who you're going to vote for, she says she's leaning toward Trump. Sabrina Champ said in her first preference would be to vote for Robert F. Kennedy. She found herself disappointed in what Trump and Harris had to offer on Tuesday night. She baited him and he fell for it. That's disappointing. But as far as Kamala is concerned, I didn't see a lot of policy. We hear this a lot. A lot of people are saying, there was no meat on the bones. She seemed to dodge some of the major questions or go back to rebutting whatever Trump had just said. Champ said she spent the hours before the debate traveling between food banks searching for assistance for her and her sons, while she was unconvinced that either major party had a plan to improve her economic well-being. Kennedy's endorsement of Trump and potential role in the administration are making Champ lean toward casting her ballot for the former president. They both seem very rehearsed. She said of Trump and Harris, what choice do we really have at this point? Here is Jessica Maldette, age 40, Erie, Pennsylvania, a behavioral specialist. She says she's mostly a Democrat. In 2020, she voted for Biden. In 2024, she is undecided. Who won? She said Harris won. Although she voted for Biden in 2020, Maldette has been undecided about whether to vote for Trump or Harris in November. The debate did little to change her perception of either candidate. While Maldette, a single mother, appreciated some of Harris's economic proposals, she questioned the feasibility and cost of enacting such policies. I wish we could go back to a place where we felt financially safe. I struggle to even figure out how I'm going to make ends meet and what college will look like for my children. There's two people, and what are they talking about? The economy. And this is the thing that seems to really come up time and time again. Kevin Walsh, age 66, retired, lives in Drums, Pennsylvania, describes himself as a Democrat. He voted for Trump in 2020. He will vote for Trump again, he says now, in 2024. Kevin Walsh Sr. voted for Trump in previous presidential election, but was interested in learning more about Harris and her plans for the economy and immigration. He voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and wanted to keep an open mind on Harris, but was left frustrated. He said that she often pivoted to attacking Trump rather than directly answering. Isn't that interesting? He said Trump appeared to be flustered by Harris, but he still planned to vote for the former president. He cited inflation and the cost of living as his big concerns. You know what you're getting with Trump. He's a known commodity. Of Harris, he said, I don't know what I'm getting with her. See, this is sort of encouraging, isn't it? Age 36, Kendra Clark is a paralegal from Savannah, Georgia. She describes herself as an independent, voted for Biden in 2020, says leaning toward Harris. Asked who won the debate, she said Harris did. Clark has no plans to vote for Biden if he were still on the Democrat ticket, despite supporting him in the last election, in part because of his handling of the crisis in Gaza. She had hoped to be persuaded that Harris might take a tougher approach to Israel as the Democrat nominee, but came away disappointed with her comments on the debate stage, which she saw as a continuation of current administration policy. We're going to keep giving them weapons regardless of what they do. Still, Clark felt the vice president did well taking on Trump and counts herself as a quote-unquote hesitant yes. Doesn't sound like she's full on, but she's leaning toward Harris. She appreciated that Harris turned a question of Trump's comments about her identity as a black woman into an indictment of his record on race. Drew McMonagle, age 29, a lawyer in Philadelphia, Democrat, voted for Biden in 2020, says in 2024 he is undecided. He believes Harris won the debate. McMonagle was more inclined to vote for Trump before the debate, but could now see himself voting for Harris. He still remains undecided in part because he didn't get a clear sense from either candidate about what their specific policies would enact if elected. Nothing substantive, nothing new. Trump definitely got worked by Harris, but I would really like to hear what plans she actually has. I don't think it changed anyone's mind, he said of the debate. So there you go. Just a handful of people that they talked to. Again, the thing that I picked up yesterday from some of these focus groups was a lot of people talking about the economy and how important that was to them. And in just a moment, by the way, I'll share with you some of these numbers about inflation. And it's easy to understand why people are so concerned. Even if you're out there working hard every day and you got a good job, it's costing you more to live. And I think that's very much on people's minds. And I think when it comes to handling the economy, I think most of the polls have shown Americans trust Donald Trump over Kamala Harris for that. One other thing, Major Garrett, a friend of mine, I used to work with him at Fox. He now works for CBS News. He's a chief political correspondent for them. And he's just been back from Michigan, where he spent some time talking to a bunch of Michigan voters. And he was on their morning show. And this is what he said.
So I talked to 20 voters. Not one of them was undecided.
Wow.
Not one.
Not one. And headlines come and go. But let me tell you this. Support for former President Trump is real and resilient. I encounter that everywhere I went. And that's something the Harris campaign knows, recognizes. The fact in Michigan.
In Michigan, where he just came back from. Now, you know, the thing about it is that when I look at the numbers and study them, and I know you guys get to, oh, Wilson, here he goes with the numbers again. But, I mean, when I look at the numbers, one thing seems pretty clear. Donald Trump's support has been consistent. It hasn't wavered. It doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. It just sits there. So which says to me that, you know, one wrong move by Harris and he could really put this election in pretty good order. Right now, those numbers are really just too close to call. I honestly, I can't decide how it's going to go. I run all the scenarios. And I just have to say right now, it's a jump ball. It's that tight. 20 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. All right, something awesome is coming to Genesis Diamonds next weekend. That's September 20th, 21st, and 22nd. It's a 3-day designer engagement ring event showcasing the world's top 2 brands in bridal jewelry, talking about Tacori and Verragio. Tacori from California, Verragio from New York, both flying in their entire lines, including all new rings for this special event. You can explore hundreds of exquisite American-made designer rings. Plus, Genesis will have special incentives, zero interest financing at up to $5,000 in instant savings. In addition, Genesis has an expanded selection of GIA certified diamonds for this 3-day event, all shapes, all sizes, rock bottom prices on the rock you want. This is the best of the best. Every Tacori ring handcrafted by master artisans with exceptional quality. Every Veragio ring is made by hand with unmatched attention to detail. These are brands that other jewelers only wish they could offer, but at Genesis, they have the entire Tacori and Veragio collections on hand, and they'll all be on display next weekend. Don't miss the bridal jewelry event of the year, September 20th, 21st, and 22nd at Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
A near miss on the runway under investigation in Nashville, and former President Trump just got another court win in Georgia. These stories and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, that's old Ken Weaver there, the bearded wonder in the newsroom, and behind the glass is you know him, you love him, you can't live without him, Chris Webber, who's pushing all the blinky buttons, keeping him under control. So Ken, I see you got your news face game on.
Man, it is busy. It's like coming out of a fire hose.
Yeah, trying to get a drink out of a fire hose.
Yes.
That's right. So this rain. What do you think? What's your guess? I mean, you're a man who has extensive experience in looking at weather and understanding the importance thereof.
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, it looks like we're going to get waves of rain over the next several days.
You think it'll be days?
Yeah, it's going to be days. Right now, it doesn't look like there will be any let up until Sunday, maybe even into next week. So what's happening is what Dan Thomas over at Channel 4 says is as of right now, the eye of what was Hurricane Francine is parked just south of Memphis.
Right.
And this thing's just going to kind of churn over Tennessee, Arkansas, and northern Louisiana for a couple of days.
So how much?
Up to 4 inches of rain could fall.
Wow.
By the time this thing is out, by the time this thing starts really breaking up by the first part of next week.
But, if that's over the spread over four days or so, that's okay. Well, that's tolerable total.
Yeah, what we really need, quite frankly, is a good soaking rain.
We do, man.
Yeah. I wish I had mowed my yard yesterday, though.
I haven't mowed mine in like 3 weeks. It just stopped growing. It's been so dry.
Right. Now, see, I have part of my yard, gets fertilizer and aeration and reseeded, and I try to make it look nice. I got another part of my lawn, it's off to the left side of the house, which is just sort of open field. It's mostly grass, and some weeds. But, I mean, over there, you're right. When I haven't done anything to it, it doesn't need to be mowed.
No.
I mowed it last week or so, and it looks exactly like it did after I mowed it. You're right, it hasn't grown. But the stuff that gets the chemicals, it's growing. It's growing like crazy. So I guess I don't know how I'm going to get it all worked out. But anyway, I think we could really use the rain.
Oh yes.
I mean, the Duck River could use the water because they got drought conditions and they're asking people not to do anything like wash your car or anything like that. So
or fill up the pool, Brother Brian, and you can relate to that, dude.
Well, yeah, and quite frankly, if we're going to get 3 inches of rain, it may come out of the pool.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
could happen.
That water could come right out of the pool because I mean, it's not that much between the lip and where the water level is.
No, sir.
Yeah.
About 3-4 inches. That's about it. Yeah. So.
The good news with this system is that it seems to have really just kind of started breaking apart and lost its steam, so to speak. And so the severe risk, I think, is pretty much gone for Middle Tennessee.
And
kind of.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Still a chance, obviously.
Just good, steady rain, no severe weather attached to it. That's sort of what it's feeling like, I guess, at this point.
Well, tomorrow's going to be the day, boys.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to Dan Thomas over at Channel 4.
Yeah.
The sun, we're going to get some breaks in the clouds tomorrow that's going to kind of heat things up. And with this humidity right now, tomorrow is when they're worried about these spin up isolated tornadoes. So that's what we'll have to watch for tomorrow.
For sure.
Low risk, but you just can't rule it out.
Yeah.
Can't rule it out. Okay. Well, I'll take that. Okay. Well, good. Well, it'll get us tomorrow. Will be Friday, and then we'll have by maybe Sunday we'll start to lift up.
Let's hope so. But we do need the rain.
We do need the rain.
Yep.
Do need the rain. All right. And on that happy note, on that rather wet note, let's go to the news. It's 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7.
3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Yeah, Channel 4's Dan Thomas tracking remnants of Hurricane Francine.
The rest of today into tonight, I think, ranging from maybe a quarter inch of rain to 2 to 3 inches, depending on where you are. I think the highest totals moving forward from here on out are in southern and southwestern parts of the mid-state, western Middle Tennessee as well. And so the center of what is left of Francine, Tropical Depression Francine, just south of Memphis right now.
Yeah, full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, a near miss on the runway is under investigation at Nashville International Airport. An Alaska Airlines flight was cleared for takeoff at the same time that a Southwest Airlines flight was cleared to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska Airlines crew hit the brakes so hard the tires on that plane were flattened. Another plane's been provided to get the 176 people who were on board to their destination. Election 2024, former President Trump just got some good news. A judge in Georgia has dropped 2 counts against him in that election probe there. And the former president says he's done debating, posting to Truth Social he won the last one and there's no need for another one. He even put it in all caps, saying Kamala should focus on what she should have done during the last almost 4-year period. There will be no third debate! Exclamation point. Back here in Tennessee, Tennessee law enforcement not playing around when it comes to threats against schools. Channel 4 says 15 students have been arrested in East Tennessee alone for making school threats so far this school year. Officials say there have been about 50 threats in Knox, Anderson, and Sevier counties.
In some instances, these reports, as it turns out, have been retaliatory, where one kid wants to get another kid in trouble. And so they falsely report that someone has threatened to shoot up the school.
There were about 2,000 students absent from school yesterday in Anderson County because of 4 students making threats. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Let me tell you about the folks over at King Associates Insurance in Brentwood, an independent agency that has been doing more business here for some 25 years, quarter century. Now, an independent agency is exactly what you want because they can weed out the non-competitive companies. They can find that policy, excuse me, that really meets your need. Really, truly will meet your needs. And, they'll find one that, not like just taking one off the shelf and saying, here you go. They search around. They find the best one. And by best, we mean you get the most insurance for the least amount of money, which is exactly what you want, right? And then here's the other thing. You call this number, 615-329-8121. You're not going to reach a call center. You're not going to reach a phone tree. You're not going to, get that recording that says, well, your call is important to us when you know it's really not. No, what you're going to get at King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood is a person who answers the phone and says, how can I help you? And they will help you. And if they don't have the answer, they'll find somebody who does. And you're not going to be sitting around wasting your time, literally for hours sometimes. Multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35%, huge savings. Get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Just log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment, great rates.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
So it's 37 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, I hate to be this guy, you know, because but I am going to insist that we try to be accurate about things. You know, and look, we're in a season. I think you need to understand, and please listen to me. This is so important. We're in a season right now where there are people who will take to the internet and say things to get you riled up and hope that it goes viral and hopes that it becomes a predominant belief. On both sides of the equation, there are bad actors who will do this, and they'll try to convince you that this is going on or that's going on. And, you know, really, you have to be so very skeptical of the things that you read. I'm going to give you an example, and I'm only reading it because, you know, maybe it'll turn out to be true. But I've been spending the last half an hour trying to find anything that backs this up, and I can't find it. But you're going to see it. I mean, Chris already had it sent in by a couple of people. I've had a couple of people send it to me. And if it were true, it would be a hell of a story. And maybe it does evolve and it becomes true, but I can't find anything that backs it up. It's out there on X, and it is from a website called Leading Report. Now, I got absolutely no idea who's behind Leading Report. I got no clue whatsoever. I mean, who is it? Who is the organization that backs this up? What is their history? What is their accuracy rate? Do they say things do they have a reputation for breaking news that turns out to be correct? Or are they just throwing anything against the wall because it's clickbait? And here's the report. I'm going to read it and I'm going to tell you I can't find anything that backs this up. Breaking. ABC whistleblower allegedly will release an affidavit claiming the Harris campaign was given sample questions that were essentially the same questions that were given during the debate, as well as assurances that Trump would be fact-checked and she would not. All right. Again, one source. They don't say where it's going to show up. They're not going to say who's got the affidavit. They're not saying who there's nothing here except an allegation that there's going to be something big happening, and it feeds into what a lot of people want to hear, right? And look, I'm just saying, in an hour, maybe this will be something that is reportable, but in the meantime, I can't find anything, and I've looked, that suggests that this is true. And it's again, you've got to be careful with things that you see on social media. Now, that's not to say that every once in a while something breaks on social media and it turns out to be right. But there's a lot of stuff floating around right now that is not right. Let's talk about the situation in Springfield, Ohio, Haitian migrants. Is there a problem in Springfield? Yes, there's a problem. It's a town of about 60,000 people, and somewhere between 15,000 and 20,000 Haitians have ended up there. And you know, it's a clash of cultures. There are some concerns there, but you know, Donald Trump takes this thing that everybody believes to be true. Oh, the Haitians are eating the dogs and cats. They're eating people's pets. I can find nothing that suggests that. Now, okay, wait, Brian. I saw it on Facebook today, and I did too. I saw it 1,000 times on Facebook today. It's a video. It's a police body cam video of a woman who ate a cat from Ohio. It's not Springfield. She is not Haitian. Now, I know what it says because I've seen the same thing you've seen. But somebody is taking a piece of information out there and trying to make it to fit this story, and it doesn't. I mean, this was a woman who apparently was arrested by police in Canton, Ohio, who apparently had eaten a cat. Now, I don't know why or what the circumstances were, but apparently that much is true. There was a woman in Canton, not Springfield, Canton, Ohio, who ate a cat, and she had an interaction with police in Canton, Ohio. And Furthermore, she was born in Ohio. She is not Haitian. That was fact checked by the Associated Press. So, you're going to see a whole lot of stuff out there that is, suspect. Now, that's not to say that there's not a story in Springfield. There is a story in Springfield. The story in Springfield has to do with illegal immigration. It has to do with an influx of people, a clash of cultures. We do have some problems, apparently, as the Haitian people who come here are not very good drivers. And having been to Haiti, I can believe that. I've been to Haiti twice, and it is. They're not very good drivers, and so they're here. They're not acclimating quite well, but there's no evidence that they're eating cats and dogs. All right, but that doesn't mean there's not a story, just not the story that that you want to be there. I mean, everybody wants Donald Trump to be right the other night, but he wasn't right on that apparently. Now that there is a confirmed case. And I've got the evidence to play for you. Police in Springfield, Ohio, were contacted by a man. He's on a bicycle, on a path, going to some kind of job orientation, and he sees what he says were four Haitians, who are taking the geese in the park and carrying them off.
Clark County Communications.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I got a question. This is a non-emergency line, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today. And I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers. The last number was 9898, and it was a gray Toyota Tacoma they took off on. There was about 4 of them. There was 2 men, 2 women. I couldn't tell the age because I'm in a hurry going to this orientation, so I don't be late.
What direction did they go?
They went up towards. It was about 2 minutes back behind me. I was trying to get my phone out. And I saw that. I'm like, yeah, this has got to be reported.
So how many geese did they have?
They each had 1.
All right, so there is a story. Now, that is verifiable. But the dogs and cats, I can't find anything that suggests that that's real. Does that mean that there's not a story? No, there's a story. It's just not that story. The story is really, listen, petition being created to recall the entire Springfield City Commission after the Haitian influx. This is from The Blaze. A petition to recall the entire City Commission for Springfield is being processed in response to the town's leadership failing to address long-standing issues that have been made worse through the influx of Haitians in recent years. Citing Section 59 of the city's charter, the petition, obtained by Blaze Media, says it is seeking to recall the entire membership of the Springfield City Commission. Mayor Bob Rue, Assistant Mayor David Estrop, and Commissioners Crystal Brown, Bridget Houston, and Tracy Tackett are all named in the draft document. So that's true. We have a thing yesterday where the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, Republican, sort of, and he says that indeed he's going to send the state troopers in to Springfield to help with traffic control because there's been a problem. One person died in a school bus accident when there was some kind of traffic accident involving a Haitian driver and a school bus, and this young girl was apparently thrown from the bus. Others were injured, and that is true, and that is verifiable. Here's from FoxNews.com. Springfield, Ohio resident details dystopian nightmare as Haitian migrants overrun town. Springfield, Ohio resident sounded the alarm about the city's Haitian migrant surge, warning her community is like a dystopian nightmare as it struggles to provide basic resources for taxpayers. Springfield resident Diana Daniels told Fox and Friends, she described what life has been like in recent years since thousands of Haitians have been transported to their city, starving it of resources like housing and health care, while also having an impact on public safety. You wake up and it's 2019 and you realize, it's 2019 again, and then you realize it's 2024 and the same thing over and over, day after day. It's hard sometimes to get up in the morning and hear residents that I've known for years struggle. This is a paycheck to paycheck kind of town, working class. The citizens that depend on our social services like healthcare, the Rocking Horse Community Health Center, going down to the Social Security office for benefits, are waiting in line and they're not getting the services that they need. So, I mean, it is, yes, there is a problem. And it's not just Springfield. The story here is illegal immigration allowed by the Biden administration is having an impact on cities. What have we been saying now? I've been saying this for like 3 years. I've been saying the same thing. Every city is a border city. Every city is going to have the impact of immigration, some more than others. Epoch Times, Texas city shuts down hotel occupied by Venezuelan gang after 693 police calls. There are problems caused by illegal immigration, and the Biden administration is responsible for that. Here's another story. This is from redstate.com. Follow the money. Biden-Harris administration facilitated the entry of Venezuelan gangs in Aurora, Colorado. The problem the nation is having in our non-existent southern border would be bad enough without the Biden-Harris administration and government-funded NGOs facilitating the illegal entry of what they call migrants. We have seen the unfortunate result of these practices all over the country, and in no place has this situation been more obvious and troublesome than the Denver suburb of Aurora, Colorado, where Venezuelan gangs have taken over several apartment buildings and they are extorting rent from the occupants. This is real. This is the story. This is the story. And it's not going to get better. So, folks, look, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is that we have to learn to be discerning individuals when it comes to deciphering the news. Wait until you get confirmation. Wait until you get somebody and reliable attributable facts. People say, well, how do I know if it's true or not, Brian? It will be attributed to someone. Attribution is the key to good journalism. When something is stated, it must be attributed to a source of information. And then you have to make a decision about whether or not that's reliable. If there is no attribution, people are just throwing stuff up to see, I don't know, I think clickbait. I think a lot of it is just, I want clicks today. So you throw something outrageous out there, and it's irresponsible. It's not journalism, and you shouldn't fall for it. And even when you think it looks, you need to be a discerning a consumer of news, a discerning consumer of news. Don't fall. There's a lot of people out there who are monkeying around. You've got to be discerning. You have to be careful about what you fall for. If you fall for some of this stuff, shame on you, because, some of this stuff is just, it's the Wild West out there. And you need to make sure that the information that you're reading comes from a reliable source and that the information is attributed in a journalistic way so you can track it down and find out if it is indeed true. But there's a lot of stuff out there right now that is not true. Plenty of stuff that is true that's news, but you got to be careful. Got to be careful. 51 past the hour.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
All right, we've got some more details on Francine's impact on Middle Tennessee. Had a situation at B&A this morning. 2 planes, flat tires on the tarmac, and a victory for former President Trump in Georgia. These stories and more at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That thing at B&A, that sounds pretty scary. I mean, a close call. We'll get more details coming up in the news with Ken Weaver. All right, let's take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrial, man, another good day, up 235 points. S&P was up 41. The NASDAQ up about 1%, 174 points. So a lot of vibrant green, couple of days of good green results here on the major indices. Ty Draper is standing by with the details on what's driving the market today. Good afternoon, Ty.
Yeah, hey, Brian, the markets have been red hot this week as the S&P notches its 4th straight day of positive returns. But stock markets aren't the only thing on the rise. For the first time since 2019, median household income rose to $80,000, which is 4% higher than 2022. These wages increases mean that Americans have a better chance of fighting inflation and saving for retirement. But you want to know what else is on the rise? Interest payments on our $35 trillion national debt, which now equate to $1.05 trillion per year.
All right. Thank you very much, Ty Draper. Find out about all the things that Ty Draper, John Maxon, and the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 past the hour.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Remnants of Hurricane Francine, dropping heavy rain, some gusty winds on parts of Middle Tennessee. Channel 4's Dan Thomas breaks down the risk of tornadoes.
The highest chance time is 10 in the morning until 7 p.m. So there's a chance for the morning drive, but I think it's a little higher as we get some daytime heating tomorrow. Not a great chance. We call it a marginal threat or level 1 potential, primarily in this green zone, but anywhere in Middle Tennessee, especially up toward Franklin, Hopkinsville, Clarksville, Murray, and Paris. You could have one of these take place tomorrow with very little warning.
We'll keep an eye on it for you. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, the Federal Aviation Administration's investigating a near miss on the runway at Nashville International Airport today. One plane stopped so hard the tires burned off and flattened. An Alaska Airlines flight cleared for takeoff at the same time that a Southwest Airlines flight was cleared to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska Airlines crew hit the brakes. The tires flattened, so another plane is being provided to get those 176 souls on board to their destination. Get a load of this story by Alex Stone, a man facing federal charges for what he did to flight attendants this week.
30-year-old Charles Salva was on a Frontier Airlines flight from Orange County, California to San Francisco, according to federal prosecutors. He allegedly opened up and pulled down an oxygen mask as a plane was taking off. Then he allegedly began yelling that the airplane was going down. Prosecutors say he grabbed fellow passengers and a flight attendant tried to restrain him as he ran toward the rear of the plane. Then he allegedly tried to choke the flight attendant and pushed another, saying he was going to kill everybody, and he broke out of plastic handcuffs. The flight diverted, and he could get 20 years in prison.
All right, election 2024. The Fulton County, Georgia judge overseeing Trump's Georgia election interference case has tossed out 3 more counts in the indictment, 2 of which the former president was facing. The development comes after the judge, Scott McAfee, previously threw out 6 counts in the indictment, 3 of which against Trump. Trump still faces 8 counts in the case. He originally was charged with 13. And the former president appears to be ruling out another debate with Vice President Harris. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The former president says on social media that he won Tuesday night's face-off, and that after 2 debates to date, one with President Biden and a second with the vice president, quote, there will be no third debate. It's a reversal for Trump, who had previously called for multiple showdowns with Kamala Harris.
Now, Harris responding to the news during a rally in Charlotte this afternoon.
Well, folks, I said it then, I say it now. It's time to turn the page.
And Trump says Harris refused a Fox News debate, as well as NBC and CBS. And right now in Nashville, Channel 4 says the Nashville Sports Authority Board is going over final costs for the new Titan Stadium. And they learned this morning it's going to be over budget by about $135 million. Now, the Titans have to pay for the overages, and they got to show how they're going to cover those extra costs. Until now, the total number was $2.1 billion. Now it's $2.2 billion, and that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's 7 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk, hour number 2, now kicking off of the drive on this Thursday, September 12th. Man, I'm so glad that you're with us as we try to decipher what is truth and what is not, as we take fact and try to separate it from fiction. It's a full-time job. I don't know that I can meet all of that, but I'm we just spent the last few minutes in the previous hour talking about the body cam video of a woman who ate a cat. It's all over social media, right? And it's funny how what did Phil Valentine used to call it? He would say that there are some listeners out there who are Van Gogh listeners. They listen with one ear. And this is true. Think about this for a moment. When you hear something that you strongly disagree with, whether it's on the radio or the TV or somebody has a conversation, do you stop listening to the rest of what they're saying? Because you're thinking, well, no, I'm pretty sure I think that no, and you're not thinking at all or not listening at all about the rest of the information. It's got a guy said, no, you had this police phone call about the Haitians with the geese. If you believe that, you got to believe this is his body cam video. Yes, it is. Not from Springfield. It is Ohio. The woman, not a Haitian. I'm sorry. The stuff that you're seeing on your Facebook feed is wrong. It's just wrong. She grew up in Ohio. She's not a Haitian, and it's not even Springfield. It's Canton, home of the Football Hall of Fame, NFL Football Hall of Fame. I mean, I want to go to Canton, but look, I'm telling you, folks, you've got to be a discerning consumer of news. So again. There's a lot of stuff floating around. I mean, I cannot believe the level of stuff. And it's only going to get worse between now and the election. Be skeptical. If something sounds like, wow, and, give it a few hours to percolate. See if it really does emerge. Don't just, don't feed, oh, look what I found. And you send it out to all your friends. No, don't do that. Wait and see, what really happens, what really develops, and what the information truly is. When I'm in the middle of, and I'd like to think that I'm pretty good at it, covering breaking news. Now, breaking news is the hardest thing that you do as a journalist, and you've got to be careful. Because in a breaking news situation, you've got to be able to do the best of your ability. You have to separate fact from fiction. And you know what? In breaking news, sometimes the fiction in the initial going comes from reliable sources. As I always like to say in breaking news situations, this is what we believe we know now, but the information is very fluid, and we're going to perfect this information with the passage of time. But this is what we believe the facts are at this moment. I remember the morning of the Christmas morning bombing downtown. Man, was there crazy stuff floating around. But we got it right. In fact, we were way ahead of a lot of other people, me and Dan Mandis that morning. We never did get to open our packages until about 3 or 4 o'clock that afternoon because we were on the air trying to discern what was truth and what was not. During the Covenant shooting, this station did very well in making sure that we separated the fact from the fiction. Nothing that we put out there had to be walked back. But it's hard, and it does happen in breaking news situations. So when I see stuff out there and I go, wow, well, if that's true, that's a hell of a story. That's a hell of a thing. And this ABC report that's floating around about a whistleblower, it might be. It might be something to it. I don't know, but I've not seen anything that backs it up, and I'm skeptical at the moment. And you should have skepticism and not accept everything you see on your Facebook feed or your X feed or your TikTok feed as being fact. Because, a lot of it's not. A lot of it's not. And the poor guy who sent that to me thought he was doing me a favor, and I said, "I'm sorry. Maybe I got a little excited." No, the fact of the matter, I appreciate when people send me that kind of stuff. I do, because sometimes it turns out to be right. But boy, I'm telling you, there are a lot of. And by the way, you know who else is out there mucking around in things? The Russians and the Chinese. They love to do nothing. If all that they do is create turmoil, they love it. That's a good day for them. They want to roil the waters and keep people churned up. All right. I want to talk about Davidson County for a moment and this transit referendum that is going to be on the ballot in November. Tennessee Star had a pretty good story here, well reported. We Go Public Transit in Nashville said on Friday it has now reached the high watermark of riders previously set in 2018, more than a year prior to the COVID-19 pandemic that saw the number of Nashvillians using public transportation cut in half. News that Nashville's bus system has reached its pre-pandemic ridership numbers comes as the city's voters consider a transit referendum the city says will cost $3.1 billion, but which an independent financial analyst said will ultimately require, you ready, $6.9 billion. People are going to the ballot, and they're going to look at this thing, and they're going to say, well, here we got this transit plan. And it's not going to cost us much because they're just going to raise, the sales tax just a tiny, tiny bit, less than a penny. And it'll for less than a penny, we're going to get great transportation in this city. Well, it's not $3.1 billion. It's more like $7 billion, pretty close to $7 billion. I mean, everything goes up, right? There's a story in the news today about the new stadium that they're building and how the progress is being made. And it went from, and this sounds like not a lot, $2.1 billion to $2.2 billion. Turns out, when you think about it, that's $100 million. Well, actually, the exact number, Ken Weaver, correct me if I'm wrong, $134 million. I caught you in the middle of a bite. Sorry. $135 million. So, things, no matter, it always goes up. It never, when's the last time you heard, hey, this big project that we're doing is under budget and on time? So everything goes up. But right now they're saying it's 3.1, but the truth of the matter is over the life of the project, it's more like $7 billion. And you know what? I don't think that the mayor in this particular case is being honest and truthful about what the true cost of this is. And I don't think that the mayor has been completely honest, and the people who support this transit thing have been completely clear. I wouldn't say that they've lied about it, but I don't think they've been totally clear about what their plan is. Their plan has a lot of infrastructure in it. I mean, a lot of things that have nothing to do with transportation. They're going to build these transportation hubs all over Davidson County, and then what they're going to do is they're trying to develop housing around those hubs. Why in the world? Boy, you talk about an opportunity for some sweetheart deals. Why in the world do we want the city getting involved in real estate development? We don't. That's not the role of government, but that is part of the plan. And the thing that I'm most concerned, this is one that I don't think that they've been completely full and honest with us. I don't think they've really been clear on what they're planning. They talk about, well, don't worry, we're going to have rapid buses going everywhere, and we're going to have dedicated bus lanes. You know what they haven't answered? The question they haven't answered about the dedicated bus lanes is that going to be, are you going to actually build new roads? No, they're not. They're not going to build new roads. What they're going to do is they're going to take existing roads and dedicate them to be bus lanes. So think about, if you live outside of of Davidson County. What they want you to do, and maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't, but I think what they're going to want you to do is you'll come in and you'll park your car at one of these hub centers, and then you'll take the bus in. That's what they want. Now, that doesn't work for a lot of people. Why? Well, people find that maybe I need to leave on something different than the bus schedule. Maybe I have 4 or 5 errands to run after I get off work. Whatever. I mean, people don't want to do that. But if they take up a lot of the incoming inroads to downtown Nashville, the people who live in the suburbs and working downtown are going to have fewer roads to use. Because why? Because some of these roads are going to be turned into dedicated bus lanes. They're not going to build new roads. If they are, then we're talking about a lot more than $6.9 billion. I don't think they've been straight with us. I don't think that people understand the entire thing. Now, again, I can't get the answers that I want about this because it's like Kamala Harris's answers in the debate. It's pretty thin information. They're giving us pretty thin, big picture stuff and not giving us the hard details. O'Connell, Fast Freddy O'Connell, trying to pull a fast one here. He says in a recent podcast, according to the Tennessee Star, it would have been that Megan Barry's transportation plan would have been pretty useful to Nashville had its voters approved it, but ultimately argued the real payoff of any transit investment will be seen in the future. Yeah, the payoff is always down the road. There's sort of that old adage, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. This is similar in that the timing for 2018 would have been pretty useful. The mayor's proposal does not include light rail, but does include around-the-clock bus lines as well as new sidewalks. He's big on the sidewalks. I think it's like 86 miles of sidewalks. I mean, it's a lot of sidewalk. Smart traffic signals, which I am actually in favor of, and other, this. I mean, talk about a phrase that could include a lot of different things. I need a little more detail and quote unquote other infrastructure improvements. A little vague. Ben Cunningham, he's the guy who sort of headed up the Nashville Tea Party, got it started here way back in the day, says that this is not at all legal. I'm not an expert, so I don't know if Ben is right on this or not, but I think it's worth exploring. There's a state law which allows him to put a referendum before the people, but it very specifically says that it's for mass transit, for buses, for train, for shared public mass transit. It's very clearly in the bill's definition what it's for, but it doesn't say anything about infrastructure. Ben Cunningham says what he's doing is illegal. He put them in there because he knew this referendum wouldn't pass otherwise. Look, folks, we need more details, and short of having those details put forward, I would simply say maybe, if you think that you're going to get all of this and it's going to be paid for with a 0.5-cent increase in the sales tax, then I got a bridge I'd like to sell you. Because I'm telling you, I don't think you can do it for that. I just don't. It's pie in the sky. We are lacking a lot of details. And I think that the proposal as put forward by the mayor and supporters does not have the level of detail that we need to find out if what they're planning is actually feasible. Short of that, I would say, don't vote for it. 21 past the hour.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, They want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Had a near miss today at BNA. Tens of thousands of Boeing workers are fed up and a strike looms. And then more news about Wall Street's close coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 26 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. As long as we're talking about stuff happening in Nashville, with so much national news going on with the elections, and I'll be honest with you, it's been sort of a slow day today. The only big headline, I think, out there today following the debates is that Trump has said he's not going to do a second debate with Harris. That's a major development. That's interesting. We'll get back into that a little bit later. But, I want to take advantage of the fact that things are on the national level sort of slow, political level sort of slow, and to talk about some things going on in Nashville. And this has been one that I've been wanting to talk about it for the longest time because I think it's wrong. And again, it has to do with Mayor Freddie, Fast Freddie. Apparently, let me back up a little bit. because some of you are, wait a minute. I don't like this idea, and not everybody does. I am a proponent of the license plate readers that police use. And you say, well, yeah, you don't care about, privacy. Well, the last time I checked, Supreme Court said there is no expectation of privacy on a public street. And that's just the way it is. But these license plate readers, these LPRs, can be incredibly effective in shutting down crime. If you talk to communities that have gone full bore with them, and in Wilson County, they're very big on them. Mount Juliet, the police department, they're very big on the LPRs, the license plate readers, because my initial gut feeling was, I don't know if I like this idea. But it was explained to me that the license plate readers work this way. They scan a bunch of them, right? But they're always comparing, the computers are always comparing against a list that they're looking for. And to get on that list, there has to be a legal police complaint filed. And for example, this person is wanted for armed robbery. This person is wanted, and they drive this car, and we're looking for this car. It has to be connected to a police report and have a police number attached to it. They're just not, like they say, I wonder what John Smith did today. Let's find out where he drove. You can't do that. At least you're not supposed to do that. That's supposed to be a serious violation of the rules. And they say that there are safeguards in place. That doesn't happen. What they're looking for is, ooh, look here. Here's a license plate ABC 123. And we've been looking for that guy because that guy's got an outstanding warrant against them. And it sends off an alert, and police are notified that he just passed through this intersection, and then they maybe can intercept him and make an arrest. In Mount Juliet, they've made a lot of arrests. Nashville was supposed to have a pilot program, and they tested it out. And I got from this Fox 17 report. Listen to this: in the short period of time that they tried some license plate readers in Davidson County, Metro Police Department's 6-month pilot program led to, you ready for this? 112 arrests of people who had committed a crime, and 128 auto theft charges, and multiple other charges. It works. I mean, if you want a safe community, then you take criminals who have outstanding warrants and you get them off the street, right? You make an arrest. We've got a hell of a problem in Nashville with stolen cars. I mean, it's a big problem. It's maybe one of the worst in the country. If you want to stop that problem, and by the way, when you stop the stolen cars, you, by the way, are also stopping a situation where a lot of those stolen cars have weapons in them that end up being confiscated by the criminals, end up in the wrong hands. So if you want to stop that, then the license plate reader is the most effective way to do it. But so they were supposed to do this pilot project, and then they were supposed to have apparently the funding was all set aside, and they were going to go put them in after the pilot project. But now the mayor has put his foot on the brakes. Fox17.com. Nashville's mayor has his foot on the brakes of the license plate readers out of concern they could impact marginalized communities. The concern here is communities of color are saying, they're going to be disproportionately in our area. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I would say to you that it makes a lot of sense to put the crime-fighting tools where you have the most crime. And if that happens to be a black or brown community, that's the way it goes. But that's how you make a community safe. Let's get the LPRs going, Mayor. They can really help. And quit putting your finger in the wind. Do the right thing. The number one job of a community and of a mayor and of a council is public safety. And LPRs make our communities safer. They do. 31 past the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We are tracking Francine's impacts on Middle Tennessee right now. It's just some light to moderate rainfall. That's going to continue off and on through the first part of next week. But tomorrow is whenever we have a marginal risk of some severe storms with spin-up tornadoes. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, federal investigators are looking into a near miss at Nashville International Airport today. An Alaska Airlines flight had clearance for takeoff at the same time. A Southwest Airlines flight had clearance to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska Airlines crew hit the brake so hard the tires melted and flattened. No reports of any injuries. Another plane was going to be deployed to get those 176 passengers to their destination. This might impact your travel plans. More than 30,000 factory workers at Boeing could walk off the job if they don't approve a deal the aerospace company has offered them. They're currently voting on that deal. A strike could happen at midnight if that deal is rejected. Money News, Michelle Franzen.
Stocks closing in on new all-time highs thanks to a couple of economic reports. The Dow up 235, the Nasdaq added 174, and the S&P gained 42. The number of workers applying for jobless benefits last week inched up but remains historically low. Another report finds wholesale prices 1.7% higher in August compared to a year before. More gains for Nvidia and other big tech stocks drove the market higher, offsetting a slump for Moderna after the vaccine maker announced research and development spending cuts. Freddie Mac puts the average 30-year mortgage at 6.2% this week, the lowest level since February 2023. The drop comes ahead of a next week's highly anticipated Federal Reserve interest rate decision. Flight attendants at American Airlines ratified a new contract, ending years of negotiations and averting the threat of a strike.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, let me tell you something. You probably didn't know this, but gold, the value of gold is up 78% over 5 years, and silver is up 99% in that same time period. Your U.S. dollar hasn't fared as well. It's lost 25% of its value since 2020. This is all being caused by government-induced inflation. It's stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop it. But gold and other precious metals can be a shield against that inflation theft. During an election year, the politicians will promise you that they'll rein in the spending, but it's all campaign talk. You know they can't help themselves. That is why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. Where do you get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold & Coin. They will take good care of you and keep you well informed on precious metal opportunities. Please act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com and set up your appointment today.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
.39 past the hour, 4 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air today, bringing you news and information. As a little slow in the world of politics today. Big news is that Donald Trump says he's not going to do a second debate. We'll get back into that a little bit and talk about that. But let me share with you a couple of things that we've been following that I think are of interest to you, and they have been. Let me start first with the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. I'm not at all pleased with what I see here from the FBI and the Secret Service about rolling out information. Now, look, there's not going to be a prosecution. Sorry, just not gonna. And because it seems to me that the guy that responsible, of course, is dead, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're going to go after the parents for anything here. So I think this is done. But they're really being, again, like they were in the Covenant shooting. They're very slow at releasing information, and they seem to be holding on to stuff for no apparent reason, when there's a great, compelling reason to know this information. Public has a right to know about this assassination and what you've learned about it, but we're not getting a lot of information. From townhall.com, the FBI is slow rolling information about the guy who tried to kill Trump. 2 months since Thomas Crooks attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump during a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. In his attempt to kill Trump, who was shot through the ear, Crooks murdered 50-year-old Corey Comparatori and severely wounded 2 others in the crowd. Members of Congress have been demanding answers from the Secret Service and the FBI about what happened. Given a lack of information, lawmakers have launched an independent investigation into the situation and have visited the site where it happened. According to Republican Congressman Michael Waltz, the FBI is slow-walking information about Crooks and his motivation to murder Trump. Crooks had a number of encrypted overseas email accounts. Clearly, he was training, he was preparing. We can't get straight answers from the FBI on his, he built 3 IEDs with remote detonators. Well, we can't get a straight answer is what radicalized him, what drove the motives, and so they're not passing on any information. Melania Trump, you may have noticed the other day in a promotion for her new book, said that asked a number of questions, wondering why Crooks was able to get his shots off in the first place. I shared with you a conversation that I had, and he told me I could say this, with Congressman Mark Green, who serves on this ad hoc committee that is investigating the assassination of Trump. And I saw him last Saturday. He told me that it's shocking what has happened. And he said, we have information from the State Patrol. See, most of the good information about this is not coming from the FBI, not coming from the Secret Service. It's coming from whistleblowers, and it's also coming from the local police. State Patrol, Pennsylvania, has told them that they got a picture from one of the sniper teams. One of the local sniper teams took a picture of the shooter with the rangefinder zeroing in on the podium. They took a picture of it. They said he was a person of interest. It went to the state patrolman in the command center for the Secret Service, and that person took the phone over and showed it to the Secret Service person in charge 30 minutes before Trump took the stage, and they still let him take the stage because they never did resolve what was going on with him. They lost him, and they should never have let him go on the stage if he was out there and there was this suspicious activity, and then they couldn't find him. Pretty shocking. Not getting that from the FBI. Not getting that from the Secret Service. In fact, the thing about the FBI investigation is they're looking into the crime itself. What this guy did, trying to figure out what was his motivation and all that kind of stuff. They're investigating the incident. They're not investigating what went wrong with the Secret Service. You know who's investigating what went wrong with the Secret Service? The Secret Service. Well, now there's congressional investigations, but they're not getting any information. Look, it looks bad for the Secret Service. I mean, they botched this one really badly. There's no doubt about that. And but you know what? If you want to tamp down wild ass conspiracy theories, how about you just give us some information? Because it's in the vacuum that these things start to spiral out of control. Again, it's just a mess. Here's a federal agency urged to expand probe of Trump assassination attempt. Epoch Times. Senator Roger Marshall, R. of Kansas, called on Homeland Security Inspector General to look into claims that the Secret Service denied requests for more security. Department of Homeland Security watchdog that is investigating the Secret Service handling of the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump has been asked to broaden its probe. In a September 9th letter to the DHS Office of Inspector General, Senator Roger Marshall, R. of Kansas, called on investigators to look into the claims that the Secret Service denied requests. He cited media reports that alleged the campaign had requested on several occasions additional snipers and teams at outdoor events, including at a rally in July of 2023 in South Carolina and sporting events. Initially, the Secret Service denied allegations that requests were denied, but later said in a statement that it had declined to provide the campaign with some additional resources. Secret Service Communications Chief Anthony Guglielmi told CNN that some instances where specific Secret Service specialized units or resources were not provided, the agency made modifications to ensure the security of the protectee. What were they? Let us judge that. Marshall's letter states the DHS Inspector General should expand its work to probe those reports and determine why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was denied Secret Service protection for months as he ran for president as an independent candidate. Yes, we need to know. The other story that sort of they're sort of similar in ways. And that is, we continue to get more information about the teenager who carried out the Georgia school shooting just the other day in Winder, Georgia. I think initially I said that Winder was north of Atlanta. I think it is more east of Atlanta. And I think I saw some updated information on that. I guess I could take out a map and check. The student accused of killing 4 people in Georgia school shooting rode the school bus that morning with a semi-automatic rifle concealed in his backpack. Colt Gray then left his second period classroom after getting permission to go to the front office at Appalachia High School, but hid from teachers in a bathroom before emerging to begin the assault, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith. The new details fill in some key questions about how the 14-year-old got a gun in that could not be folded down to the school in Winder before a shooting that killed 2 students and 2 teachers and injured 9 others. The teen's grandfather told CBS News the morning of the shooting his mother, Marcy Gray, received a cryptic message from her son. She's actually spoken about that. What happened is she got a text message from Colt saying, "I'm sorry." And then she received a phone call from the school, one of the counselors there, who said, "I've just gotten an email about your son from one of the teachers, and he's talking about school shootings." I don't understand why, given the fact that they had sent up the flare on this young man before, law enforcement had gotten involved. They talked to the school officials about it. They said, "Keep an eye on this kid. He says he didn't do anything wrong, but we've got some concerns about him, and we think he may be, planning something. Keep an eye on him." Why they didn't immediately, when they got that email, go and track him down, send the school resource officers to where he was and find him. The mom actually has spoken on the record to ABC News about that morning. She said she got the text message from Colt, and a few minutes later, she got a call from the school counselor.
The counselor said, "Well, I wanted to let you know that earlier this morning, one of Colt's teachers had sent me an email that said Colt had been making references to school shootings. Between my gut feelings, the text messages, and now this email, y'all need to go, run to the classroom."
She knew something was up. She had a feeling, and I have a hard time understanding, given the earlier concern about this young man, why, when a teacher sent an email, their first instinct was, go find him now. Get him quick. It might have changed the outcome that day. It certainly might have. 50 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Francine's key threats to Middle Tennessee. Close call on the runway at BNA. And former President Trump will tell you what he just told a rally in Arizona. That's coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And you know what else is coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, Ken Weaver?
What's that, brother?
The ever-popular Three Amigos.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Three Amigos are back now. And again, in case you missed the big announcement, by now it's funny. People still say, "What's Ken Weaver doing on the afternoon?"
Why is he not in the morning anymore?
Why is he not on the mornings anymore? No, he's ours now.
I'm back among the living.
We did announce it. It's just, these things. You announce it once and you announce it twice and you talk about it 3 times or 4 times. And there's always some people who go, "Oh, why is Ken on afternoons now?" Well, it's because he moved to afternoons, and Joan Jones now doing morning news.
Yep.
And that's a good thing all the way around. It really is.
Yes, sir.
So we will do the Three Amigos coming up at 5:35 today. 57 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Let me talk to you about the folks over at United Structural Systems. They've been around since 1994 with more than 25,000 satisfied customers. Been here for 30 years doing this kind of work, and they are, I think, the gold standard when it comes to this. Now, look, we're going to have a lot of rain here. If you've got a problem with water in your crawl space or water in your basement, and these are the folks you want to call to come work on it. In fact, they're going to be doing some of that work around my house here in the next few days. Waterproofing is definitely something that I found that I needed when they came out and look, and they're going to get it all back like it needs to be. Listen, they also do, of course, foundation repair and concrete leveling. This is something we need to talk about. Do you have a settling sidewalk or a driveway or a slab that has sunken or slopes or patio steps that slope? Maybe so there's an uneven concrete pool deck around your house. Well, they can fix all of those things with their USS Polylift system. It's less expensive than concrete replacement. Don't replace it, raise it. They can make it look just like it was, and you'll be very happy with the results. And as I say, it's cheaper to fix it than it is to rebuild it. How about this? Just give them a call at this number, 615-488-7855, and then talk in greater detail to the people at United Structural Systems. Learn more at USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Francine is dumping rains on parts of Middle Tennessee. Channel 4's Dan Thomas is tracking it.
We have waves of rain, some gusty downpours sliding on through as more moisture comes off the Gulf of Mexico and feeds around the east side of dissipating Francine. Today, tonight, on into tomorrow. Even this weekend, I think we'll have more areas of rain. And we also have to watch for the potential for isolated tornadoes. I think it's a little higher tomorrow than today as we get a little more sunshine, a few more sunny breaks during the day tomorrow as all this again pushes off toward the north.
Yeah, full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Had a close call on the runway at BNA today. Two planes nearly collided. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating. It was an Alaska Airlines flight that had clearance to take off at the same time that a Southwest Airlines flight had clearance to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska Airlines crew hit the brakes so hard the plane's tires melted and flattened. No reports of any injuries. Another plane was being deployed to take those 176 passengers to their destination. Election 2024, former President Trump says on Truth Social he will not debate Kamala Harris again. He says in the Post, the polls clearly show that he won the last one. And at a rally in Arizona today, he criticized the ABC News moderators for not asking Harris why she hasn't done the things she claims she is going to do.
At the end of the debate, I said, why don't you just do it? You could leave right now. Why don't you do it? I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do this and that and that.
The judge in the Georgia election interference case has dropped 2 more counts against former President Trump. Trump now faces 8 counts instead of the original 13 there in Georgia. Back here in Nashville, that new Titan Stadium under construction is coming in over budget by more than $100 million. The old estimate was $2.1 billion total. Well, the Nashville Sports Authority learned today it is now $2.2 billion. The Titans have to come up with any overages. The cost to the Sports Authority stays the same at $760 million, $500 million from the state. By the way, the new plans call for updates for events on the South Plaza and for 2nd Street to be pedestrian and festival free, that is friendly, with security upgrades. And this might impact your travel plans. More than 30,000 factory workers at Boeing could walk off the job if they don't approve a deal the aerospace company offered them. They're currently voting on that deal. A strike could happen at midnight if it is rejected. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hour number 3 of The Drive now kicking off. We have got a lot of stuff to cover here. Glad that you're with us. I hope you can get home. I mean, I don't think the rain has gotten too bad yet. I was looking at my radar, and I think we're going to be, as I understand it, I think you need to be considering the possibility of, a couple, 2-3 days of rain here. But right now, most of we had some light showers come through, but the vast majority of this, I don't know. I'm looking at it, Ken Weaver, and it looks like to me it's going. I am certain we're going to get some rain, but it's not going. It's not veering to the right like I thought it would.
No. In fact, this thing is going to stall over Memphis.
Memphis is going to get killed.
Yeah, all we're going to get is the bands of this. And then again, like the main threat will be tomorrow whenever we do get some moments of sun kind of charging the atmosphere up, heating it up, if you will, mixing with this humidity. That's when we could see some of these severe storms that could spawn up isolated tornadoes.
Well, we're watching it, and again, you're right. If you're headed toward Memphis, or if you're headed west out of Nashville, you're going to be in a whole lot of rain.
Oh, yeah, and this is tropical storm rain, man.
That's
this
right.
is different.
Yeah, it's different, and you can actually still see just the remnants of the eye south of Memphis right now. So, but as I'm looking, the direction of that storm seems to be moving to the west and not the east, which is what I thought was going to happen. Yeah. I don't know. Keep an eye on it. Well, of course, it is what it's going to be, but be ready for some rain, and maybe tomorrow it could be, a day to keep an eye on the sky.
Oh, yes, sir. Definitely, man, because, we've been there, Brother Brian, where we thought it's going to be like a kitten, and it turns out to be a lion.
Yep. That's right. And then sometimes the other way about. We'll just see which it is. But you know what? We need to be prepared. Yeah, bring in the cushions.
That's right.
Honestly, at the very least, that's what you need to do.
Well, and knock those spiders off first.
That's right. And lower the umbrellas.
Yeah, I've already taken mine in.
Yeah. Oh, really? You calling it an early season?
Yeah, I got ready for it this morning.
Oh, all right. Let's talk a little about the debate. There's still a little bit to talk about there. At the 3 o'clock hour, I talked about undecided voters, and what I found out there, it was pretty interesting. I thought the Wall Street Journal went and talked to about 5 or 6 people who were undecided. Now, of course, that's not scientific, but it is interesting to get their perspective. This is what is called a focus group, and you ask them, what did you think about this? What was your reaction to this? And who do you think won? And these were people who some were Republicans, some were Democrats, some were independents, and they what I drew from all of that was that they were still very interested in hearing about the economy, and that they wanted to know what the economic plan was, and that some people said, well, I know what Trump has done, so his record is pretty good. What is she going to do? And she was a little thin on details. So what I walked away from it saying, not a complete loss with some of these independent voters who are still trying to decipher exactly where they're going to land. So we'll see how that all plays out. I don't think it's going to move the needle much on numbers. The interesting thing about Trump's numbers is they've been pretty steady they don't really move very much. Now, the Democrats' numbers have been all over the place. When Biden was the nominee, they were really in trouble, but now they've sort of evened up. And it's a very close race. I couldn't even begin to tell you how this thing's going to play out. TC, as I like to say, too close to call. So we need to see what happens in the next few days. It clearly was not a great night for Trump. Clearly, the moderators were not playing the game fairly. That's all. That's very clear. And on that point, here you go. You'll love this. New York Post. Here's the fact check that ABC did not give Kamala Harris. During Tuesday night debate, ABC moderators David Muir and Lindsey Davis interrupted Donald Trump 5 times to fact check his answers. They did the same to Kamala Harris Well, never, actually. The vice president was allowed to skate through the debate without substantive follow-up questions or pushback on some of her obviously false claims. So since ABC didn't do its job, here are some of the facts that they should have checked. You ready? Here's one claim from Kamala. As of today, not one member of the United States military who is in active duty is in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time in a century. The truth? Our troops in the Middle East are absolutely in a combat zone under attack from Iran, which the Biden-Harris administration has allowed to grow more aggressive in its use of proxies. In January this year, 3 U.S. soldiers in Jordan were killed by a drone attack from an Iran-aligned group, and dozens others have been wounded in similar attacks. Kamala claimed during the debate, what you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he's elected again. Well, the Post fact check. The Heritage Foundation is an independent think tank and has produced Project 2025, not the Trump campaign. Trump has repeatedly said he wasn't involved in its writing, does not believe in its policies, and won't implement it. And that is just an out-and-out, bald-faced lie. And funny how David Muir and Lindsey Davis did not stop her and say, well, wait a minute, Madam Vice President. They don't know. They did it with Trump. They never did it with her. Kamala's claim number 3. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent. The Central Park 5, he took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. Facts? Trump's 1989 advertisement did not call for the execution of the Central Park 5. He talked about a woman raped in the park, but did not mention the names of suspects or who they were. Titled Bring Back the Death Penalty, Bring Back the Police, Trump simply bemoaned how generally unsafe New York City has become and that criminals needed to be held accountable. It preceded what would become a general backlash against disorder in Gotham that led to the election of Rudy Giuliani as mayor and more protective and proactive policing. Kamala claimed during the debate, I have not banned fracking as vice president of the United States, and in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened up new leases for fracking. Facts? Harris passed the bill because it was packed with left-wing giveaways. Those new leases were not the point of the bill and only begrudgingly included to satisfy Senator Joe Manchin. Later, Manchin would accuse President Biden-Harris of going back on their word, saying that new regulations were undermining the lease promises. This is BS, he said. Except he didn't say BS. He told Politico, so they're basically going to starve us out of energy that we have a tremendous abundant supply of because of their aspirational thoughts. During the debate, Kamala claimed nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for abortion. That's not happening. Fact check, as the Daily Signal points out, Minnesota had a 2015 law that required doctors to report whether abortions resulted in the live birth of a baby. In 2021, it happened at least 5 times. No measures were taken to keep them alive. In 2023, Governor Tim Walz stripped out that reporting requirement as part of an abortion law that has no limitations on how late in a pregnancy it may happen. Oh, this one. This is rich. Kamala's claim. Remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate, and what did the president, say at the time? That there were fine people on each side. Well, Harris, along with Biden, always leave out what Trump said next. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists. Snopes has labeled false the idea that Trump praised neo-Nazis. Why weren't these things brought out by the ABC crew? If you're going to fact check one, fact check the other, pal. ABC moderator David Muir at one point said, President Trump, as you know, the FBI says violent crime is coming down in this country. The ABC anchor interjected that when Trump said crime is through the roof. Well, despite Muir's effort to show up Trump, the former president's response that the FBI figures are not to be trusted was absolutely correct. The Marshall Project, which focuses on law enforcement reporting, found that 6,000 law enforcement agencies were missing from the FBI 2023 analysis. That means a quarter of the U.S. population wasn't represented in the federal crime data last year, which I think Trump tried to point out. It said, moreover, whenever small reductions have happened in cities such as Chicago, it's barely a dent in how much crime skyrocketed in the past 3 years. Time and time again, Kamala Harris is allowed to spew out these allegations that are completely untrue. And the ABC anchors had no interest in trying to hold her accountable for the things she said. Only Donald Trump. ABC was if there was a real loser to this debate, it was ABC News. I mean, they're saying now, what is it? I got the number. Something like 67 million people watched the debate. And then another 29 million watched it in a stream, either live or on playback. A lot of people, somewhere around 90 million people, were able to see this debate, at least in part or in whole. That's a lot of people. And you know, again, today, Donald Trump has said that he will not be doing a second debate. The Kamala Harris campaign, the Harris-Walz campaign, has said no to having Fox News host a debate, which is the one that Donald Trump wanted. And so Donald Trump has said, well, I'm just not going to do a second debate. And after what happened here, you have to say, well, I understand his reluctance to do so. We talked about this before the debate happened. And I was remember talking to the guys. We were talking, everybody doing the round table, and I said, look, they just can't help themselves. It's like they can't imagine that the facts as they see them are wrong. They just can't imagine there's another way to look at this information. They just, they're in a little silo, in a little echo chamber, where everybody in the newsroom sees the world the same way. And everybody that they hang out with at dinner parties sees the world the same way. And when they go out on the weekends and they watch their kids play soccer on the soccer fields of New York and Washington, they're surrounded by people who see the world the same way. I used to go to those soccer fields in Maryland. You know that in Maryland, Democrats outnumber Republicans 3-1? 3-1. So, when everybody sees the world, when 3/4 of the people that you hang around with see the world a certain way, it's hard for you to imagine that there's any other viewpoint out there. But there certainly is. And ABC failed miserably in this debate. 20 minutes past the hour. There are no pills or spinal creams that can solve your back pain. And what that is, it's pressure on your nerves. And the pills and the creams, well, that's not the answer. You really have a couple of choices in most cases. One of them is surgery, and the other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-invasive, non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Their state-of-the-art facilities and the latest high-tech equipment offer the newest techniques in non-surgical procedures. Getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley that they're offering half off spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine. And here's the thing: if you're a new patient, you're gonna get an exam, a consultation, an X-ray if you need one. They'll talk about the plan to make you feel better, and you'll receive your first treatment, and all of that only $23. And then after that, the non-surgical procedures half off. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at paintisbad.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Tracking remnants of Hurricane Francine will tell you what the biggest risk is and when. Near miss on the runway under investigation at Nashville International Airport. And we got more cuts of former President Trump at his rally in Arizona today at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. One of the things that I did find out in looking at some of the focus groups that followed the debate is that it seems that for those independent voters in the battleground states, the ones that you've got to win over if you're going to win a national election. I mean, right now, overall, the numbers are pretty tight. This is really going to come down to how a group of independent voters, if it's upright and fair, it will come down to independent voters, some who go left some of the time and some who go right some of the time. That will decide the election. And so, what is it that resonates with them? Well, the thing that I saw yesterday and the thing that I'm seeing today is that they seem to really be concerned about the state of the economy and how difficult it is to make ends meet. There's so many people out there who are struggling right now, and it's easy to understand why. I mean, we heard earlier today, I think during our report from the folks over at Beacon, when they talked about some reports that have come out, that wages are up, on average $80,000. That's a pretty good number, but it hasn't gone up as much as prices have. So if your wages are going up a little, but prices are going up a lot, you're falling backwards. You're having a more difficult time making ends meet. And there are a lot of people out there who are really struggling, and to try to put things in good economic condition. And I took a look today at some inflation numbers, and it's easy to understand why. It's sort of insipid. It's like, you're working the same amount. You're working just as hard as you ever been. Maybe you got a little bit of a raise, but you're finding, wow, why is it so hard to make things meet, all this stuff? Why is it so hard to pay these bills and get everything done? And why am I struggling so? Why am I living, paycheck to paycheck? Why am I falling behind? Why is it harder now than it was? It's because of inflation. Which, they say, well, inflation right now is, 2.5%, they said yesterday. Okay, but add that to all the other, every other month that it's gone up. That's how much it's gone up year to year, not how much it's gone up since 2021 when Joe Biden stood there at the Capitol, raised his hand, and took the oath of office. Would you like to know some interesting statistics about how much more you're paying for things? These are national averages, and they vary from place to place. But perhaps the largest increase in your cost comes in the area of energy. Now let's talk of what is energy. Well, that's gasoline, that's oil, that's natural gas, that's electricity. The things, all those utilities that you have to pay, all of those things on average have gone up 37% since Joe Biden became president. Has your salary gone up 37%? I doubt it. We don't really look at it in this number very closely in our area, but trust me, in some of these battleground states, they heat their homes with something known as fuel oil burning heaters. And the cost of fuel oil is a very important thing. Since Joe Biden took office, fuel oil has gone up 43.4%. Has your salary gone up 43.4%? I don't think so. Let's talk about the area of transportation. On average, we're talking about things like, you got to have a car, you got to have insurance, you got to get repairs done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. On average, across America, since Joe Biden took the oath of office in 21, transportation costs have gone up 32%. Has your salary gone up 32% in that same time period? No. So you're falling behind. You're paying more than you were before. Things are outrageously expensive. And on this one particular category, you're not going to believe this. On average in America today, car insurance has gone up 52%. Groceries up 21.5% on average. School lunches up, 66%. That's why you're having such a hard time. Time for the news at 5:30.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Channel 4's Lisa Spencer's tracking remnants of Hurricane Francine, which is expected to dump up to 5 inches of rain on Middle Tennessee by the early part of next week. Some of that could come in the form of severe storms.
The severe threat for tonight, not as great, but tomorrow is going to be across the southern part of the mid-state. But we really have to watch all of Middle Tennessee for some quick spin-up tornadoes. Otherwise, high wind and heavy downpours will be the greatest concerns that we have with these showers and these thunderstorms that are developing.
Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, a near miss on the runway under investigation at Nashville International Airport. An Alaska Airlines flight was cleared for takeoff at the same time that a Southwest Airlines flight was cleared to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska Airlines crew hit the brakes so hard the tires on the plane were flattened. Another plane being provided to get the 176 people who were on board to their destination. Election 2024, former President Trump says he's done debating before the election, posting to Truth Social that he won the last one. There's no need for another one. And here's what he said in Arizona today.
Harris showed up spewing empty rhetoric, the same old lies, meaningless platitudes. offering no plans, no policies, and no details whatsoever. Nothing.
Right now, Vice President Kamala Harris is on a swing through battleground state North Carolina. Back here in Tennessee law enforcement not playing around when it comes to threats against the schools. Channel 4 says 15 students have been arrested in East Tennessee for making school threats so far this school year. Officials say there have been about 50 threats in Knox, Anderson, and Sevier counties. The Anderson County Sheriff with this message.
And the one thing I would tell kids right now is I promise you, you send it, we will find it, and we're going to hold you accountable. It's that simple.
Now here in Middle Tennessee, there have been at least 4 students arrested for making threats at various schools. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Grace Point Healthcare. Affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine is what they're all about. Basic smart care plans over there start at $69 a month, which includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests. At Grace Point, you're usually seen the same day or the next day, and there's no long waiting times or times waiting in the waiting room where a bunch of sick people. You don't want to do that. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. They want you to know that fall allergy season is here, so don't suffer through another seasonal change. Get complete testing and treatment. Enjoy the beauty of fall this year. If you're feeling down, do you have intestinal issues, rashes, hives, or sinus problems? You may have a food allergy. You can get tested and learn what foods to avoid in your diet. Located in the heart of Franklin, call this number 599-6868 to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
There it is. It's time for the Three Amigos here now on Super Talk 99.7. And the Three Amigos are Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Hello,
Good
Ken.
afternoon, boys.
We got Chris Weber in the control room.
Hello.
And I am your friend and radio buddy. We are actually friends. We really do like each other.
We do.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, Chris gets a little irritated with me most of the day, but I mean, most of the time we get along. No, we truly are friends. We really do genuinely like each other, and that's why we decided to call it the Three Amigos. And we're glad to have the Three Amigos back together again in the afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've got one. This is what we do. I got to tell you what we do. We sit down and we talk about some weird little story we found, or about anything at all, whatever comes up. We never really know where it's going to go. It can bounce around like a Donald Trump speech. I mean, you never know which direction it's going to go.
Sometimes it goes right down the tubes.
That's right. Well, no. We try to keep things on a high level.
We try.
We are broadcasting professionals.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
You know, when I was traveling around as a news reporter for Fox News, I got on a lot of planes. I flew a lot. Sometimes on Air Force One, sometimes on charters, but you know, basically a network correspondent, you end up finding yourself on a lot of planes. And so I became fascinated, I think, by, that world, what it must be like to be like on a flight crew, traveling around the world. And it's a whole different, I've always been fascinated by finding out the little secrets of every industry. Every industry has a shorthand. They have lingo, and when you learn about things that other people do for a living, it's fascinating, I think. And I've always thought that the people who fly on airplanes for a living, what an interesting life they must have. But I did not know this. Have you ever noticed that when you're getting on a plane and you're trying to take that overhead bag, which I don't know. If Cabana Wife is packing it, it's very heavy. It's all I know. And you got to put it up there in the overhead, Yeah. Ever notice how, people who, even if they're struggling, you won't really see the flight attendants trying to help you. They generally won't.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
Generally, it's another passenger. Oh, let me help you with that,
That's right.
But they don't. They stand back, and I've always thought that was interesting. I found out why.
Litigation.
No, it's really something more simple than that. Have you ever found yourself wrestling with your luggage in a plane's overhead locker, baffled as to why the cabin crew didn't rush to your aid? This is in the Daily Mirror. Turns out there's a reason for that, and it's been revealed by flight attendant Sierra Mist. Apparently that's her real name on TikTok. She claims she's lifting the lid on flight attendant secrets that passengers are clueless about, including why they won't assist with heavy bags. According to Sierra, pilots and flight attendants, and this is true, I've heard them say this, don't earn money until everyone's on board and the plane door closes.
I've heard that as well.
They're not on the clock until that door closes and they pull back from the gate. So during the hustle of boarding, they aren't being paid yet. And it's really not about paid, but if you're not being paid and you're not on duty until the door closes and you're injured,
Workman's comp.
Workman's comp. That's right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sierra says that there's a reason why we don't have workman's compensation because we're not on the clock yet. It's worth remembering that she works for an American airline, and that is true. But that's true. I've heard that they don't start paying you until you back away from the gate. Pilots are the same way. Well, I don't understand that because if you're a pilot, you have to prepare the plane to back away from the gate. It's just not going to back away on its own.
So you think the stewardesses would stop me if I tried to grab a couple of extra packets of peanuts?
No.
That door's open, man. It's
open. Hey, you're not on the clock, lady.
What you going to do? Go ahead and try that out, Ken. Let us know how it works.
I guess that's interesting. I wonder if it's when the door closes or
I think
when
that's what it is,
when they pull away. So when the door closes, I guess then they fire up the engines.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is funny, though, that that they won't assist you with the bag into the overhead compartment, but what they will do once the door is closed, apparently, is they have no problem coming up and cramming your bag as hard as they can so that they can get that door closed.
Well, yeah,
Have you ever seen them do that?
Yeah.
I mean, they just go to town on the people's bags, just cramming them in there so that door can close. And I thought, I hope there's nothing valuable or breakable in there.
She also told the Mirror in the UK that cabin crews can unlock the bathroom from the outside.
Ooh.
Oh.
So while this might unsettle some flyers, she assures there's a rationale behind it. We have this option in case somebody needs help in the bathroom or there's an emergency.
That makes sense.
I can sort of understand that. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I've always wondered why it was. I one day, I fly a lot. I did fly a lot, and I'm still fascinated by it. I ended up on a flight one day. And I've told this story before about getting. I always like to sit on the aisle seat, and sometimes if you get on a certain aisle, you especially the exit row, you get a little more leg room, and so I'm sitting there, and the other person's sitting at the window, and what you're praying at this point is that nobody comes to take the middle seat.
That dreaded middle seat.
I used to have a little joke. I said, when people would come up the aisle, and they'd see that middle seat there, and they would look at me, and I go. Yeah. I'd start doing that, so they wouldn't sit there.
Exactly.
But no, not really. I didn't. But I mean,
he really did.
Yeah. I might have sneezed or something.
Yeah. I don't have to do anything. I just look weird enough.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to sit next to
that little fella with that beard looks odd.
Yeah, just make bird noises or something.
Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that story.
Another time we'll go back to it. But anyway, there was this huge woman coming down the aisle, and it was a packed flight, and that was the only seat, and I could see it coming, and literally, bless her heart, that's a nice Southern thing to say. Bless her heart, she was at least a seat and a half wide, and there's just not a lot of extra room.
And you're not a small fellow yourself.
And I'm not a small fellow, but I can stay in my chair. I can stay within my zone.
Yeah.
But I ended up. She got in there and got buckled up with a seatbelt extender. And I'm literally. I got one cheek hanging out in the aisle. There's a secret. There's a way to take that aisle armrest.
Yeah.
If you know how to do it, you can get that to pull up. So, and I would do that sometimes because literally half of my body was hanging out in the aisle. And so, this guy's coming up, one of the flight attendants, he's coming up from the back, and he's looking at people, and he says, "Sir, you can't do that." And he takes my armrest and shoves it back down. Ow. And I just looked at him like, "Dude, are you paying attention to what I'm dealing with here?"
Yeah.
And he turned back and he went, "Oh," he saw immediately. Well, I found out later that they have a name for people like that. People who take up more than one seat. They're called POSs. which
stands for what I think it stands for.
No, it stands for passenger of size.
Okay.
So when if you ask, if you have a problem with a passenger of size, the one thing that I learned is that if you can go to them and say, "Look, this is not going to work. I mean, honestly, we can't all sit on that row, and you've got a POS there that just is taking up too much room." They will, if they can accommodate you, they will. In this particular case, there was no other seat on the aircraft, absolutely full.
Wow.
No place for me to go. So I ended up most of the flight standing in the back talking to the flight attendants because there was no place for me to sit. But that's a little tip. POS. If you use that word, you got a POS, and I got no room to sit. I can't sit there.
Don't look at someone and say, "Hey, you POS." They'll think you're talking about something else.
We got a POS. POS here.
If you ever listen to these emergency calls on airlines, like when they're calling saying, "We're declaring an emergency," they'll say, "How many passengers do you have on board?" That's one of the first questions they want to know. How many people you got on board? How many gallons of fuel? How many people on board? And they'll say, "We have 175 SOBs." That stands for souls on board.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I thought that was just a flight out of Houston.
So, they have a whole different lingo. Souls on board or SOBs. Yeah. Anyway.
I got stuck between a POS one time on a flight. I was actually in the middle seat, and he was in the aisle seat. But he's not the normal type of POS. This guy was like a bodybuilder. he was enormous. I mean, he was
just a
probably
big
like
guy,
6'7" and probably weighed 350 pounds, and his arms were gigantic. And he was literally spilling over into my seat just because he was such a big fella. And I just, all I could do was just lean towards the window because he couldn't help it. I didn't want to mess with the guy because, I mean, he was huge.
Yeah.
He looked intimidating too, but yeah, that was not a very comfortable flight.
Hey.
Yeah. All right. So what do you guys got?
Well, since it's raining, I thought I would offer up a little advice to folks like me who have dogs that don't like to go outside and do their business whenever it's raining.
I got a dainty little bulldog who doesn't like to go outside and get her feet wet. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a very problematic fat little wiener dog there in Murfreesboro who's the same way. So I got to looking around, for some tips. And number one is the one that's, the most unpleasant. It says, go outside with them, which I have to do. But I end up dragging my little fat wiener dog behind me to get him to do anything.
He's like, no, I'm not going out.
These people here must be on drugs because they're saying, make the rain super fun. When it starts raining, go outside and retrain a trick they love. This little wiener dog doesn't know any tricks. His trick is to eat. And so that comes to another step. They say, just put their treats out, in the grass or whatever. But see, I think that's bad. That's teaching bad behavior because then they're going to expect that all the time.
Yeah. Even when it's not raining.
And won't do anything.
Yeah.
Then we tried this one time. We tried a raincoat on Fritz.
Yeah.
That didn't work either because his front paws kept coming out of it. And the hood just stayed over his head, and he just wouldn't go anywhere. So, I don't know. I guess I'm just in for it for the next 4 days. I'm just going to have to drag that little fella out in the grass and
get you an umbrella and go.
Get him to do it, man.
My dog would inevitably find the muddy spot every single time and step in it. Every single time. And it's like, are you kidding? Maybe all this grass, and you're going to find that one little piece of mud to step in, and you get a whole foot full of mud. And
I will say this about Fritz. During one of our ice storms we had, that little dog went 27 hours without doing anything.
Wow.
I looked around the house. I thought for sure this dog is doing something. There was nothing in the house.
Wow.
When it finally came.
It came and it came.
Lord
and it came.
have mercy.
Well, Chris, you're off the hook. Save yours for tomorrow. It's 50 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk. Hey, listen, folks, if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy the same flavors right at home, right off your very own grill. What you got to do is you got to take a trip down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look specifically for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Now, Johnny Fleeman's marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands, so you don't have to worry about over-marinating. And when it comes to their honey mustard salad dressing, well, it's something special. Use it as salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips. A recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, just go to johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at the nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or dinner.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you, hey, that thing you're waiting on will be ready at 4, and then you get there at 4 o'clock and it's not ready. You know how it is. People are really tired of that kind of stuff. Well, if you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair shops, come to URFARB. URFARB has your vehicle ready when it's supposed to be ready, so you're not standing around tapping your toe and waiting. URFARB repairs all European cars with a quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing. That's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of money. Why would you want to pay for that? At URFARB, reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Make sure you call ahead as loaner cars are very popular. If you're tired of unreliable repair shops, come to where it is reliable. URFARB, family-owned for 24 years. Call 844-URFARB or visit myurfix.com. That's myurfix.com.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And what's left of Hurricane Francine is dropping heavy rain and gusty winds on parts of Middle Tennessee. Channel 4's Dan Thomas has been breaking down the risk for tornadoes.
The highest chance time is 10 in the morning until 7 p.m. So there's a chance for the morning drive, but I think it's a little higher as we get some daytime heating tomorrow. Not a great chance. We call it a marginal threat or level 1 potential, primarily in this green zone, but anywhere in Middle Tennessee, especially up toward Franklin, Hopkinsville, Clarksville, Murray, and Paris, you could have one of these take place tomorrow with very little warning.
Now, full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, the Federal Aviation Administration is busy investigating a near miss on the runway at Nashville International Airport. One plane stopped so hard the tires burned off and flattened. It was an Alaska Airlines flight cleared for takeoff at the same time that a Southwest Airlines flight was cleared to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska Airlines crew hit the brakes. The tires flattened, so another plane was going to be deployed to get those 176 people on to their next destination. Election 2024. Let's start the coverage this hour with Karen Travers.
Vice President Harris in battleground North Carolina pushing for another debate against Donald Trump.
I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate.
Trump wrote on social media Thursday afternoon, quote, there will be no third debate. He's participated in 2 this cycle, one with Harris and one with President Biden. With that declaration of no more debates, he appears to be going back on his call for multiple showdowns with Harris.
Well, the former president was campaigning in Arizona, and here's what he told rally-goers.
Harris showed up spewing empty rhetoric, the same old lies, meaningless platitudes, offering no plans, no policies, and no details whatsoever. Nothing.
Meanwhile, in Georgia, the Fulton County judge overseeing Trump's election interference case has tossed out 3 more counts in the indictment, 2 of which the former president was facing. The development comes after the judge, Scott McAfee, previously threw out 6 counts in the indictment, 3 of which were against Trump. So Trump still faces 8 counts in the case. He originally was charged with 13. This might impact your travel plans. More than 30,000 factory workers at Boeing could walk off the job if they don't approve a deal Boeing has offered. They're currently voting on that deal. A strike could happen at midnight if it's rejected. Here's ABC transportation reporter Sam Sweeney on the sticking point.
These workers are fed up. They want their pensions back that were taken away about a decade ago, but they also want a 40% increase in pay. They've negotiated a 25% increase in pay, and union leaders have encouraged workers not to go on strike. They say that this is likely the best outcome that we are going to get.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Good afternoon, or good evening now at this point, 6:06 on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. You're listening to The Drive. This is hour number 4 of this daily extravaganza where we try to bring you news and information you can use so that you arrive home well-informed. You can wow the family with the depth of your knowledge and understanding of world events. That's what we're all about. And you can tell them, the story about POSs.
Yeah, just don't walk in and call your wife a POS.
No. She's that would never be good.
No.
And if you missed what we were talking about earlier, too bad. It was good. We had a good time talking about it. Passengers of size is what that stands for. I got a lot of oddball stuff here that I've we've had so much focus on the debate and the reaction to the debate, and that's still coming down. By the way, if you haven't heard, Donald Trump said today he will not be doing a second debate with Kamala Harris. He's made that determination, and that seems to be it. So there'll be a vice presidential debate, which we're going to be covering, and then that's it. That will be all the debates. Still, though, excuse me, Kamala Harris is having problems in getting a lot of guff from reporters and photographers who apparently feel like she's doing everything she can to keep them at distance and keep them away from her. So, those pesky reporters, they just want to ask questions, and those photographers, they just want to take pictures. No good can come of that, I guess she thinks. Let me tell you what traditionally happens. When you're running for office of the presidency, you have a campaign playing. And you've got some people that you carry with you, but there's always, it's all been worked out in advance. There's always a pool of reporters, the traveling pool. Now, I never did campaigns, but I did a lot of presidential travel. And what happens is there's about 13 people who fly on Air Force One. That's the full contingent of a pool. So what that is that's I forget the exact, but it's a wire reporter. It's a newspaper reporter. It's a magazine reporter back in the days when they had magazines. I don't know if they still do that or not, but used to be magazine reporter. And then there would be a radio reporter. And then there would be a broadcast television reporter. There'd be a camera crew, and that included a cameraman and a sound. So that, that would travel. That would travel everywhere the president went. And generally, when the campaigns happened, then both sides would agree to carry a pool on board. Now, on Air Force One, we actually paid. We paid for those seats, believe it or not. We paid, I forget what it was, full double first fare or full fare times 2, I think is what it was. So first class times 2 for those seats. We pay, so it's not cheap. And then sometimes if there's a big demand, I remember this was happening with Clinton when he was traveling overseas. There were a lot of people who wanted to follow him around because of the nature of the story. The Monica Lewinsky thing was starting to go, and he was traveling a lot because he didn't want to be in Washington. And they would actually send a second plane. At one point, the chase plane, which carried reporters and a whole bunch of other people that couldn't fit on Air Force One, would travel along. And I remember one time rented a 747 just to carry the press that wanted to travel with Clinton, follow him all the way over to I believe it was Asia. We went to Japan and South Korea. I remember that because when you rent a plane, and again, a 747. I had never been on a 747. I've been, except Air Force One, sort of a 747. It's a modified 747. But a passenger 747. I'd never been on one. And I heard, I wanted to see the flight deck. And, basically, you're renting the plane. It's your plane. So, you don't have to do a lot of the stuff that, like the safety briefings. Sometimes they would do them and sometimes they won't. It's your plane. You don't really need the safety brief. We used to do weird things like, the press corps, they're a rowdy bunch. Have you ever heard of aisle surfing?
Aisle surfing?
Aisle surfing.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, so what happens is, you get a tray, like a service tray.
Yeah.
Right. And when the plane would take off and the nose would go up, if you were in the front of the plane, you would jump up in the aisle and jump on the tray and you would surf down the aisle. By the time you got back to the rear galley, you were moving, man. I'm telling you. And I had only heard of it and I wanted to try it. And I did one time, and if it hadn't been for a bunch of burly photographers in the back of the plane to slow me down, I would have gone right into the galley and probably out the back of the plane.
Oh, that's good.
I was moving by the time I got there. There's the very famous fruit roll.
Fruit roll?
Fruit roll. That's when you take off, somebody will roll an orange to see how far you can get it down the aisle. It's like bowling.
Yeah.
So you would roll an orange. I have a picture. I have a picture of this from when I traveled. I was one of the first people to go into digital photography. I had a Sony camera that was this big bulky thing that you would actually put a floppy drive in.
Wow!
And it would take a picture, and then you could take the little floppy drive and put it in your computer and download the pictures. So anyway, I have a lot of pictures from those days, back when, when I was first flying there. But long story short, there's always a press corps that travels with the president and with the campaigns. They generally do that as well. So I don't know what Donald Trump is doing, but I think he's got a full contingent with him that flies on Trump Force One, and I don't know what the arrangements are, but they pay for those seats. They're not given to them, and there's a small number that go on Air Force Two, but apparently they're not taking a full press contingent, and some people are complaining about it. The White House News Photographers Association has called the Harris campaign team for and called them out for a unprecedented reduction in access over the past several weeks. Jessica, I cannot say her name. I don't know Jessica. Koslinak. Anyway, president of the White House Press Photographers Association addressed her August 28th letter to top Harris aides expressing concern that the 4 independent news photographer seats have been downgraded to 1 on Air Force One. On Air Force Two, rather. Axios reported she suggested in her letter the campaign consider adding a chaser plane, a follow-on plane for additional media, or the White House Correspondents Association reorganizing who gets a seat on the plane. The still photographers are complaining that only one person is allowed to travel with the campaign. Puts still photographers at a distinct disadvantage on every trip, says Doug Mills, a veteran White House news photographer speaking in his personal capacity to Axios. It's essential for the people to understand the importance of having a full photographer pool. Every photographer sees each event differently, he continued. Apparently, not only are the reporters complaining that she never talks to them, she never answers questions, she never makes herself available, she keeps them at arm's length and at distance, but the still photographers are complaining, the photo dogs, as we used to call them, are complaining that they don't have any access as well. Doesn't bode well for the relationship between the vice president and the press should she become president and when, God forbid. All right, so there's that. I think it's interesting that the photo dogs always. Bush W had a great relationship with the guys who were the photographers. Photographers, by and large, are a lot more conservative than you might imagine. You may have reporters that are sort of liberal, but a lot of the guys who are photographers are hanging around with those guys. I can tell you, quite a few of them are very conservative. And Bush liked them. He called them the photo dogs. Hey, photo dogs, what's going on? And he had a good relationship with him, and it was casual and it was pleasant and it was fun. He was not as open alarm reporters, but he really did like the photo guys. Sometimes they would try to do the thing where they send in just the photo people, because the photo people can't ask questions or not supposed to ask questions, and that's why. We had a hard and fast rule at Fox that you never separated the photographer team from the reporter, because the editorial presence was there to ask questions and to report. That while the photo people were there to get pictures and sound, it was up to the reporter to ask the questions. And so I remember flying into Egypt. We flew in for a meeting with Mubarak at the airport. The Egyptian version of the Secret Service, they're not very nice people. And so we get off the plane, we get off Air Force One, and Clinton, I think it was Clinton and Mubarak were going to be meeting. And as we entered the room, they tried to strip the editorial presence away from the photographers. And this was something that, literally, we would never allow. It was a very serious thing to do that. So I started trying to get the attention of the press secretary that I was being taken away. I was being peeled off, and that I wasn't being allowed to go in. And the press secretary at the time was Joe Lockhart. I was going, Joe! And I was screaming across the room. And when I got really loud and sort of obnoxious about it, the Egyptian people really got very upset that I was making noise. And and they said, no, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. And so finally they let me into the room. I'm the last person in the room, and all of the other people there, the photographers and the radio people with their pole microphones and the lights and the whole nine yards. And I kind of walked in, and I was still in a daze from having fought with the Egyptian security personnel. And I finally caught up, and I was just catching my breath, and there was this awkward silence in the room. And one of the photographers turned to me and said, I think they're waiting for a question, Brian. And so I said, yeah, Mr. President, I did my best Sam Donaldson. What are you hoping to accomplish with this meeting? That's an easy question, right? Just get something, right? And they gave us an answer, and we got out of there. But it's always funny. These things, you think that they're well-oiled machines. You would think a president and two presidents getting together, that it would be like clockwork, well-oiled machine, and it is almost always utter chaos. But to be honest with you, there's nothing I like better than a good media scrum. It was one of my favorite things. Oh, it's going to be elbows, and here we go, man. And it helped that I was, better part of 300 pounds, because that helped me, fight my way through some positions. But it was always interesting. What I also found out is, if you decide that you're going to do something, the Secret Service doesn't want you to do it, and the Secret Service sees the press trying to do something they're not supposed to be doing, they have sort of an unwritten rule. Go for the biggest guy first. Take him out, and the rest will get in line. And I was always the one that they would come after. 20 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk. Hey, listen, are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You could be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait a second longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis at Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 24 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way until 7 o'clock. Then we hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. He will carry us. Well, I guess no, I keep saying that. It's a habit. We do that every day about this time. Mark apparently tore his quadricep. And I think he's out of pocket for a few days. Yeah, I just happened to see it on social media that he said, "I'm sorry, I won't be there. I'm having surgery." Apparently took a fall over the weekend, but I mean he's okay. But he's going to have surgery on a torn quadricep. I can't imagine that that's not painful. So yeah. Your thoughts and prayers for Mark Levin while he's recuperating, and I know this about him. He'll be back as soon as he possibly can. He's another one of those people, the slackers who work from home. So he'll as long as he can make it to the microphone, I think it'd be hard to stop him. Would you want to stand in the way of Mark Levin? I don't think so.
I would not. You big dummy.
Yeah. The good news here is that with the interest, with inflation coming down, it's approaching. They said that had to be 2%. The Fed said before they would do anything about interest rates, but they seem to be pulling back away from that. They said 2.5%, and they're now talking about an interest rate cut in the next few days. In the meantime, interest rates on 30-year mortgages have fallen a little bit. Average rate on a 30-year mortgage has fallen now to 6.2, the lowest level since February of 2023. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage in the United States fell this week to its lowest level in 19 months, reflecting a pullback in Treasury yields ahead of an expected interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve next week. The rate fell to 6.2 from 6.35 last week. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac said Thursday. A year ago, the rate averaged about 7.1, about 7.2%. The average rate is now the lowest it's been since February 12th of 2023. And that's good news. Borrowing cost on a 15-year fixed mortgage, popular with homeowners seeking to refinance their home to a lower rate, also eased this week. The average fell to 5.27 from 5.47. A year ago, it averaged 6.5. So that's, I know when we were used to 2% and 3% money, it seems a lot when you're saying it's 5% and 6%. But I can recall times where I had a 12% mortgage. And there were a lot of people who had a higher mortgage than that. But that's the way it used to be. So how far will the Fed go is the big question. And I'm telling you, it would be greatly appreciated if they would get interest rates down. I wonder how much of this is political and whether these numbers are real, though. I mean, I really do, since they've had to revise these numbers so often, and the revision usually makes it look a little worse than it was, than you thought it was. And I just wonder, are these numbers real, or are they being manipulated some way for political purposes? Because the one thing that the Biden administration would love to do is give Kamala Harris a better interest rate, situation as we head into the elections. Now, there'll be one rate cut sometime, I think later this month is the plan, probably. The question is it going to be a quarter? Is it going to be a half? That's important to know. But at the end of the day, the interest rates are starting to ease back down where maybe some people can get back into the market. Still, it's expensive, and I'm telling you, houses are expensive for sure. One of the more interesting things about it is when the whole mortgage industry sort of went into a pause because interest rates got so high, people weren't buying and selling homes. One of the things that I thought would happen is that the value of homes would come down. Surprisingly, that hasn't happened. They've continued to grow in value. So if you have a house and you're running a 2 or 3 or 4% mortgage, I moved in just as mortgage rates. I moved into my house just about the time mortgage rates started to go up, so I got a 5. It doesn't seem so bad right now. Would love to get that down to 2, 3, 4%. it'd be great. But one way or the other, if you got a house and you're making your payments, your equity is still going up because your house is still growing in value. So, you haven't lost anything by and large. The value of your home continues to grow, even though homes are not selling and there's not a lot of movement. And I think that's pretty good news. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens to the housing market when these interest rates come down just a little bit more. But very quickly, I gave these numbers before, and I think they're really shocking. Part of the problem has been inflation and how difficult it is. This is going to be the big thing for the election is, who's going to fix this economy and make it turn back the way it needs to be. Energy prices have gone up 37.7% since Joe Biden took office. Transportation costs 32%. Groceries up 21.5%. School lunches, unbelievably, up 66%. Car insurance up 52%. In the Northeast, where they use fuel oil for heating, fuel oil has gone up 43%. All of those things, really do impact people in the way they live. And that's why I still think in this coming election, the most important thing is the state of the economy and who Americans think will do a better job in getting that economy back where it needs to be. It's 6:30 on Super Talk. Busy Bee wants you to know that fall is a time for pumpkin spice lattes and pretty leaves and big savings. If you need the work done on your air conditioning system, your heating system, or your water, your plumbing, they can handle all those things. Great offers right now. Looking for HVAC specials? How about a free Wi-Fi thermostat on qualifying new HVAC systems? Now you can control your HVAC system from anywhere, or a free whole home air filtration system with purchase of 2 or more qualifying HVAC systems, or a new HVAC system replacement as low as $68 a month. A Busy Bee has a new tankless water heaters as low as $72 a month. Whole home drain pipe replacement as low as $76 a month. Whole home water distribution replacement as low as $85 a month, or even a whole home water filtration system as low as $39 a month with approved credit. And remember, being a Beehive member is the best way to keep your systems in tip-top shape all year long. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 38 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good evening to you. Brian Wilson in the chair for just a few more minutes before we hand it over to the Mark Levin show, whoever's filling in there for Mark, as he recuperates from his torn quadricep. Hoping the best for Mark. I probably need to reach out to him and say hello and wish him the best. Boy, I'm having that. It's that time of year where the stuff,
whatever it is.
I don't know, whatever it is. But I'm having to clear my throat a lot. I'm sorry for that. Tennessee Advisory Committee to help lawmakers address youth vaping through new research. Apparently, I did not know this. A study has found that Tennessee has the most adult vapors in the country. But the writing on this. But a cloud of concern has also been cast over the number of youth vapors in the state. Last legislative session, lawmakers passed a bill requesting that the Tennessee Advisory Commission on Intergovernmental Relations conduct a study on the effects of vaping on those 21 and under. You know, I've never understood smoking. My parents, came from an era when both my mom and dad at one point smoked. They gave it up later in life, and I was never so happy for them to change that habit. But I just, because I was that kid stuck in the back seat when parents were smoking in the car, I just hated it. Never, ever wanted, never even thought about wanting to smoke. Not even once. I've never, ever even smoked one cigarette. Never smoked a cigar.
That's really hard to believe, though.
It is true, but I so viscerally dislike it. And to me, it's just like, I could never imagine why you'd want to do that. I mean, why would you want to take smoke and fill your lungs with it? It
doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And I know it's for people who have smoked and tried to quit, it's a hard thing. I get it. But I don't understand the vaping thing either. I just don't know it. To me, when I see people, and again, I'm going to irritate people, and I'm not trying to attack you personally if you're a vapor, but I look at it and I say, gosh, that's dumb looking. That's just dumb.
Especially those giant clouds.
Gigantic clouds. It's like, really? I mean, come on. Is that for show? I mean, but again, it's not, if I defend your right to do it. It's just, I never could bring myself to ever think about doing that. But apparently in the Tennessee, we have a real problem with the number of kids who are vaping. And, apparently, the state legislature is now thinking about, well, is this something we want to approach? Been a lot of conversations, some potential bills, but we felt we needed to give it a good study to see the effects, to see if there's any further legislation needed in this area, said Becky Massey, senator from the state senator Becky Massey from Knoxville. In the study, they will address the health outcomes of vaping in those under 21, how underage sales are enforced, best way to address vaping on school grounds, and access to cessation products and services, among other issues. A youth vaping panel made up of medical experts, school leaders, convenience store owners, operators, advocacy groups, state department heads, and more shared their thoughts on the issue during the big meeting on Wednesday. During the commission meeting, experts raised concern over the age of those who are vaping. It's hard to believe. We've got third and fourth graders who are using vaping products, and the effects on a young brain of what that can actually do is daunting. The most concerning thing I'm hearing from schools is that they are seeing younger students using vapor products. For example, in the Gibson County Special School District, 2 fourth graders were found with electronic vapor products on the playground.
Wow, fourth graders.
Yeah, that's really something. I've been writing today with this ink pen, said Sarah Adair. It's actually a vape pen as well. So if you're taking notes, right, that pen that you think the kids are taking notes with is actually a vape pen as well.
Wow.
How about that? Some of the panel suggested policies the General Assembly could consider to help reduce access, including a universal carding law for vape products. Number one, it's a deterrent. If you know you're going to be carded, you're less likely to go in a store and try. I think it takes the judgment call away from the clerk. In addition, some advocates argued banning flavored vapes in Tennessee could reduce the youth's interest in vaping. However, others said that the problem starts at the point of sale and want to see lawmakers pass legislation restricting the sale of vapes to stores that require a person to be at least 21 years old to enter. Here's the thing. Do I have to say this? I think everybody knows. I'm not revealing any big, deep, dark secret. If you see a young person vaping, it's entirely possible that what they're vaping is not nicotine. It could be other things. So, I'm not in favor of it. But It's one of those things that I believe in personal freedom, and there's a libertarian streak that runs through me that says, leave me alone to do what I need to do in the privacy of my own home. But I do worry about young people and the impact that could have. I think most people think there ought to be an age limit. As you know, when you're in the 4th grade, your brain ain't done yet. In fact, for young males, your brain is not even done at 18, 19, 20, or 21. Your brain just ain't finished yet. California Superior Court ruled Monday that a school district's policy requiring parental notification of their children's gender identity cannot be enforced. Superior Court of San Bernardino County Judge Michael Sachs upheld a preliminary injunction that prevented the Chino Valley Unified School District from implementing a policy that requires parents to be informed when their child requests to use a different name, new pronouns, or opposite-sex facilities such as a restroom, locker room, sports facilities, according to court documents. We're very disappointed in the court's decision on sections 1A and 1B of the Chino Valley Old Parent Notification Policy and intend to appeal the ruling, said Emily Ray, senior counsel at the Liberty Justice System. Why in the world would parents be kept out of an important thing like that? Do they not understand that they're minors under their parents? They're their parents' responsibility until they turn the age of 18. And so if your child is doing something, why is it that the school system thinks that they should know better than the parent what to do in a situation like that? Hate that law. I think it's a dumb law. And I wish that they would just stay out of it and let the parents be the parents. And to add to that, I wish parents would be parents from time to time. Local story, I had no idea. John Morgan, the founder of you see him all the time, the commercials, Morgan & Morgan Law Firm. You've seen those commercials, haven't you, Chris? They're all over the place. Yeah. Major donor for Democrat campaigns. I didn't know. He said Sunday he will not fundraise for Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential bid. He posted on social media that he has donated $1 million to the campaign for President Joe Biden. Wow. But announced Sunday he was stepping out of the race. He's not going to be doing that anymore. He's not going to be raising money for Kamala Harris. Over the past year, I've traveled across the country talking with Americans about the clear choice in this momentous election, and that is what I will continue to do in the days and weeks ahead. But they won't be having money from John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Elon Musk has issued a warning over Kamala Harris's pathway to citizenship plan for illegal immigrants. He sounded the alarm on X. The pledge, which is on Harris's campaign site, came just before her debate with former President Trump on Tuesday night. Musk accused Democrats of planning to grant mass amnesty to illegal immigrants in order to boost votes for their candidate, a claim that he and other Republicans have reportedly warned of. I'm among them. According to the Tesla owner, the 15 million illegal migrants, in addition to bringing in tens of million more, would also instantly make all swing states deep blue. Musk warned that this would turn America into a permanent one-party state. He went on to cite California's 1986 amnesty push. The vice president's website has already drawn criticism for its perceived lack of detail. However, Harris's stance is what's really raising eyebrows. Yeah, look, it's always been their plan. It's been their plan from day one. It continues to be their plan. Allow people to come into this country illegally and then gain control enough that you can then grant them amnesty and a pathway to citizenship. And then, you know, the demographics, the voting demographics of this country will have changed forever. You know, speaking of Elon Musk, his SpaceX continues to amaze. I don't know if you've heard it or not, but there's a privately funded flight on SpaceX above the Earth. that is being paid for by billionaire Jared Isaacman, and he is funding the first ever commercial spacewalk, which took place today with brand new SpaceX designed suits. And they went into the radiation belt. They went in an unusual orbit to a place where radiation is said to be especially intense, and then did a spacewalk to test out the suits. After checking for leaks and boosting the pressure of the suits, a company live stream showed Jared Isaacman, a tech industry billionaire, leaving the SpaceX Crew Dragon vehicle through its hatch, conducting a series of mobility tests, and coming back in around 7 a.m. The entire spacecraft was exposed to the vacuum of space. Sarah Gillis, a SpaceX employee, also a member of the crew, left the spacecraft after Isaacman returned, performed her own set of tests around 7:15 a.m. The hatch was closed again, and SpaceX began bringing the cabin back to normal conditions. The mission is called Polaris Dawn, marked a milestone for SpaceX, which has aspirations to return humans to the moon and eventually establish a human presence on Mars. The crew members donned SpaceX designed and manufactured suits that were previously untested in orbit. Building a base on the moon and the city on Mars will require thousands of spacesuits, and they wanted to make them less bulky. So this is a test of the spacesuit, and apparently, by the way, they're sort of snazzy looking.
They are very sleek. Yeah.
They're very sleek compared to other of spacesuits that we've seen go up, and apparently they work perfectly. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Now, the folks at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa, they want to help you, achieve your weight loss goals. They're the leader of weight loss management in Wilson County. So what you need to do is call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, Restoration Wellness Med Spa, to book a consultation today. You're going to run into my friends Carly and Jamie, who will take really good care of you. They will treat you like you're part of the family. You can become a part of the 1,000 and, well, more than 1,000 patients now who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. Now, weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. These are customized treatment plans, not one size fits all. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals, and it's working for me. I'm telling you, I got on the scale again today. I'm down another pound every day. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest technology in weight loss management. Just go to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.